Hi, I'm Megan Masters, Director of Academic Technology Experience within the Division of Information Technology here at the University of Maryland, College Park. In spring 2024, I was part of the team from UMD that created and administered a survey about the academic uses of generative AI, which we also refer to as GenAI, to students and instructors. In this video series, I'll walk us through the results together. Let's jump in. In this video, we'll take a look at why and how the survey was created. The 2023-2024 academic year was the first in which GenAI tools were readily available for use by students, faculty, and staff. We aim to use this unique opportunity to gauge the UMD community's knowledge and use of these tools in hopes of informing university guidance for both students and faculty. The implications of GenAI in a higher education context could not be more important to consider. After reviewing the existing survey instruments about GenAI use, and there were a lot, we decided that none fit the goals of the survey, nor were relevant to TERPs. So staff with expertise in survey design from the Division of IT and Academic Affairs collaborated to create our own survey, specifically for UMD students and instructors about their academic uses of GenAI tools. The trouble was, GenAI is such a new technology that we didn't quite have a comprehensive grasp on what students and instructors really thought about it. So we conducted field interviews, a method of informally interviewing members of our population, in our case, the University of Maryland, and used their responses to inform the design of our own survey. To do this, we walked around campus from the Edward St. John Building, McKeldin Mall, McKeldin Library, Hornbake Library, John S. Toll Physics Building, Glenn L. Martin Hall, Francis Scott Key Hall, Woods Hall, and the Skinner Building, talked to staff, students, and faculty, and asked them general questions about GenAI, their uses and knowledge of it, as well as their integration of it. After a few days, we heard from 21 students and 15 faculty members who helped us answer the following 3 questions. What is GenAI? Have you used GenAI tools before? Do you incorporate the use of those tools as part of your daily life? Let's hear their answers to the first question.
Yes. So generative AI is AI that uses, it's like database that it has built a network on to generate outputs based on user input.
Generative AI is something like ChatGPT, using like large language models to generate responses to prompts that users ask.
I am not familiar at all, so I really could not define it if I could.
I'm not really sure what generative AI really stands for, but I think it's artificial intelligence that generates answers for you based on the questions that you ask it.
An AI that can generate what you ask it.
Generative AI. The word generative just does put me off, but I know what AI is. AI is pretty much the ChatGPT of today and GitHub Copilot. It's pretty much like a supplementary tool to make things easier overall.
Not aware of GenAI. I have a vague idea and some peripheral information about it, but I find it pretty difficult to define.
An AI tool that you can use to try and, I don't really have an understanding now.
I don't really know exactly what it is specifically, but I've heard about it, yes.
What I know of it is that it's a technological software that you're able to put in general information so that it can generate pre-made context for you.
I don't know a lot about generative AI, but I think it's technology that's used to generate ideas and thought processes.
Results of the field interview revealed that there was a wide range of variability related to student familiarity and use of GenAI, ranging from students who have never really heard of it to those that were involved in back-end coding years ago before it was even readily available. Interestingly, we also found the same trend around faculty. Here's a few of their quotes. This adjunct faculty was able to define it in one sentence. It's the ability of AI to create new content using large language models based on a pool of data that was crawled and collected from billions and trillions of data points. Some faculty have used it but could not really define it, like this quote. No, I cannot define it. I'm pretty aware of what is going on, reading and listening, but that's about it. But I won't be able to define it. We also found that students and faculty were more similar than different in terms of the range of experiences and expertise they had with these tools. Let's listen to students' answers to the second question.
Yeah, I've heard of ChatGPT. Yeah, ChatGPT.
I have loaded up ChatGPT once or twice just to mess around, see what it's about. Haven't really used it to actually do anything, but more see what it can do.
Yeah, I've used ChatGPT.
Yes, I have. I've used ChatGPT most recently, and it's like interface that's pretty easy for pretty much everyone to use. And then I've had an internship where I used GPT-3 a couple of years ago and worked with coding with that, with their API.
Yes.
What tools you have used?
ChatGPT, Quillbot.
Most of the students we talked to have used ChatGPT. One of the computer science seniors even used an earlier version of it a few years ago. The experiences of using GenAI tools are varied. When we asked instructors if they have used GenAI tools, most of them have used it just like this tenured professor said. I used ChatGPT twice when I was curious to see what students might answer on the exam question that I gave them. A PTK professor said, I figured if my students are going to use it anyways, I might as well embrace it. A tenured professor put her assignment in ChatGPT and asked her students to challenge themselves to go beyond what ChatGPT could provide. You need to put some thinking behind what ChatGPT produces, she said. The last question we asked was if you incorporate the use of GenAI as part of your daily life. Let's hear what our students had to say.
I always tend to use ChatGPT in class specifically, especially when the professors tend to speed through concepts, or sometimes it's always difficult for me to kind of raise up my hand in class. So I just pretty much have ChatGPT open most of the time to kind of look up those concepts and simplify it down. Because the best thing about GPT, for instance, is you can tell it to explain as like a 5-year-old to you, and it kind of gives you a very basic and simplified logic of very difficult concepts. Because, my professors tend to be experts in the field, and sometimes it often tends to get difficult to communicate difficult concepts to novices like me. So GPT has been helpful in that scenario.
Mainly academically, and just finding something that I've been trying to learn more is active recall methods of studying. So I've been using it to give me study examples or give me practice questions, and I feel like that's really helpful.
One of the more recent ways I've used it is I took the job description of an internship and crunched that down and was able to match the keywords in there and the things that they were looking for to my resume and then the cover letters I've written in the past. And so it can kind of make a cover letter that was pretty close to my style of writing, giving it the things that I've done before. And just with some little tweaks, I kind of made it my own and was able to adapt that and use that and write a cover letter that took my experiences and tailored it to what they were looking for.
Mostly academic, specifically in my programming classes. If there's a problem that I really can't figure out on my own, I'll just ask the AI for a little bit of guidance, to pseudocode something or to help me, get me on the right path.
We were told not to use AI, but she said she understood that we would be curious about it. We went over the ground rules over what was allowed and what wasn't with AI in our class. We weren't allowed to generate anything with AI, but we were allowed to use it to condense our resources. If we asked it to produce a list of sources that it found on certain topics, we could use those sources, but we can't obviously use the AI to create anything for us.
I don't really use it often because a lot of my classes, I'm a public health science major, and a lot of it's math based and stuff, and I found sometimes the answers aren't right when you do try to use that. Yeah. I've also used it for fun, different things. If I have questions randomly, instead of Googling it, sometimes I'll just put it in ChatGPT to see what it thinks.
As you can see, a lot of Terps incorporate GenAI in their academic life at Maryland, helping with coding, explaining academic concepts, creating study guides or study questions, generating cover letters, or really just using it for fun. Faculty also use it to help them with administrative tasks like writing emails, creating email templates, and writing letters of recommendation. This assistant professor said, sometimes I'll just put stuff in there and it will spit stuff out, and then I'll kind of use that as a starting point for my own writing. When we interviewed faculty, they also voiced concerns about GenAI uses within academic contexts. The faculty are concerned about students' usage of GenAI tools. My concern is that the general student's understanding becomes that information is that simple, that some machine can gather the pieces for you, whereas information is far more complex than that. So I would be concerned about simplifying our understanding of learning and information. And adjunct faculty said, obviously, there are a lot of ethical concerns about the models. Large language models' ability to derive new content, given that it has sucked in and incorporated all of the biases that are on the foundational document. There are also issues of privacy. If you have to upload sensitive data sets to ChatGPT, then it's probably not safe. And then the information is potentially being reused and accessible as part of a larger pool. A PTK faculty also mentioned that if we are going to be using GenAI programs, they should be equitable and available to everybody without additional cost. After the field interviews, we called through all of our qualitative information and we came up with 7 main themes related to the survey itself and what we would focus on. The first was asking about how frequently students and instructors were incorporating GenAI tools into their academic work. If they were using GenAI tools, what context were they being used? Personal, academic, professional? If they want to learn more, what would they like to learn more about? And what types of training might be most helpful? Next, we asked about students and instructors' awareness of GenAI tool limitations, overall as well as specifically in the academic context. For those instructors who have incorporated the use of GenAI tools, we wanted to know how they did so and what types of learning opportunities they were providing for their students. We also asked questions about students and instructors' general understanding of how GenAI tools work. Lastly, we asked about concerns related to students and instructors about the use and integration of these tools. Thanks for learning about how and why we created the survey. Keep watching our other videos to learn more.